Jay with AV News. We're here at KINTEX for the World Hydrogen Expo 2025. I'm here joined for an interview with the editor-in-chief of SolarQuater, Varun. Varun, nice to see you again.
Great to be back here.
How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
One more time, can you please introduce yourself and kind of what your publication does?
Yeah, I am the editor-in-chief of SolarQuater. We cover a wide spectrum of renewables, including hydrogen, and I think we are here to cover the end-to-end of what's happening in the hydrogen industry today, right from production to the use cases which are now emerging in this fast evolving space.
Right, I think this is us together, maybe our second or third hydrogen exhibition here in Korea. And from an expert point of view, from an editor-in-chief point of view, seeing how the global market is changing so rapidly, I have a few questions for you. I'm sure our viewers will be very interested as well.
Yeah, sure.
My first question is, what differentiated value do you believe Korean hydrogen technologies can bring to India's green hydrogen mission?
So, India is in a very exciting space right now. We've got our green hydrogen mission in place.
Okay.
That gives a clear sense of direction of how India wants to move forward on its hydrogen future. And I think it has two core pillars.
Okay.
The first one is to create strong demand for hydrogen, and which is, I think, the need of the hour. And then second is how to produce and deploy the hydrogen infrastructure on a large scale basis. So with this in place, I think India has put in place the policy. It has the right balance of the investment that it's doing in the infrastructure, as well as I think it's mixing it very well with importing and getting the right tech from across the globe and making India a very, very vibrant marketplace for hydrogen.
That's a really interesting answer, because what I'm hearing now from Korean companies specifically is the technology is actually here. The technology, the core components, the expertise, but you're mentioning from India's point of view, things like policy and infrastructure are actually already being developed. So it's going to be about the kind of the world working together of how to get hydrogen, not just from one place, not just from India, not just from Korea, but as the global community working together to implement this.
Yeah, so I think India is at a stage in its journey where it's deploying infrastructure at a large space.
Okay.
And what I see here is that Korea has a ready to deploy, proven, tested hardware that is needed.
Right.
So Korea is investing a lot in its technology. That combined with the fact that, if India keeps on investing and it keeps on absorbing the hydrogen demand, it becomes a fantastic partnership between what we are seeing here in terms of the technology evolution and what India is going to do in terms of the entire ecosystem. And I think what we are seeing in India today is that the demand is really fast-paced. India needs it for its own energy security. India is also looking at it as it's industrializing. So it needs more and more energy for its growth. And then I think today India is also looking at becoming one of the low-cost producers and export hydrogen to the world.
So fast-paced from India, Korea is also very fast-paced. It could be a good match. My second question is, how competitive do you believe India's ultra-low-cost, solar-driven hydrogen production model will be globally?
So I think, first of all, we all have read about what's happening in India in terms of the recent bids, the tenders which came out, and it really shook the world in terms of the costs which were discovered. So India is not like most of the markets globally. It's a very, very competitive place.
Okay.
And what drives this competitiveness is the scale at which it produces almost anything. We saw a very similar curve when solar power came into picture. India, I think, was one of the global trendsetter in terms of lowering the cost, and I think the similar curve is now happening in terms of hydrogen. So volume is one.
Okay.
It creates great competition. So it's not just that it's a closed marketplace and only the internal companies can come in and compete. We see some of the biggest and the best in the world coming and competing in India, and that helps discover new prices, not just for the Indian market, but also for the global market.
Sure.
And there's a huge supply chain learning which happens in India. And when you start to deploy your hydrogen infra at such scale, I think that this learning then is taken by a lot of companies to go back and kind of learn more about how to scale up, how to do better.
Okay.
And that then translates into lowering down the cost. But also, what is, I think, of key interest is that it's not just pure competition and scale. It's also being bankable.
Okay.
Any new tech, any new investment which happens has to have a proven track record. When you invest into something, you really need to know, is it going to work?
Sure.
Is it going to actually be there for a long time? So you need performance guarantees. You need the confidence to invest into any new tech. And I think, again, with a lot of piloting, with a lot of use cases that Korea and some of the other global leaders, have put in place, that bankability can again be something which can be translated into the Indian market.
Wonderful. I mean, talk about not only a great answer, but the perfect answer to what I've been hearing of the problems from the Korean point of view, the Korean industry point of view. Things like lowering costs, scalability. These are things that India is doing. How do you assess India's growing interest in hydrogen mobility beyond the EV adoption?
So I think India is, first of all, I don't believe that the hydrogen mobility and the EV mobility are in the same sphere.
Okay.
They are both in their own independent areas, and there are many examples where the EVs may not be able to solve the challenges which are faced in terms of even in the mobility, where hydrogen can step in.
Okay.
And I think the best use cases are where you need heavy vehicle or high carry load, which needs to be, which can be one of the use case for hydrogen. Quick refueling, which is I think already in place because you have liquefied petroleum, liquefied nitrogen, etc. being used. So there are use cases within the mobility where hydrogen will have its own space. But beyond that, I think it's also going to be about where else can hydrogen really be applied to. So we have, I would say India has already picked up the low-hanging fruits. It's where hydrogen replacement, so you have the fertilizer or the ammonia use cases where hydrogen just needs to be replaced and green molecules can be brought in. The other application area which I think we are seeing, which is again a best example of what's happening, is in the steel sector. So steel requires a large amount of energy, and it needs to decarbonize fast. It's one of the most carbon emission heavy industry. Yeah. And hydrogen is a great solution. We've seen companies invest into hydrogen. We've seen them create small hydrogen hubs, whereby they're combining not just in the manufacturing use, but also creating a small ecosystem of mobility for their own use cases. So that's another example. And what I think finally India would love to do is to export some derivatives. Okay. So wherever hydrogen or its derivatives might be already in use, you don't need to change the entire infrastructure of the world, and it's not going to be easy. But the derivatives such as whether it's methanol, whether it is ammonia, a lot of industries use this as their raw materials and as the feedstock. And I think that's something which eventually, once India is going to consume its own hydrogen for its own needs, it'll open up a market for it to export these derivatives as well. So the industry is moving beyond the hydrogen industry, and I think some fantastic applications are at display here at the World Hydrogen Expo.
Sure. So it's much more, we should look at it more as a Venn diagram. It's not a complete overlap. It's EV and hydrogen. There's some overlap in where it could be used, but hydrogen can be used for separate areas, EV as well, as we move to a more energy sustainable, energy friendly future.
Yep.
What key factors must global companies consider to achieve cost competitiveness as India aims to produce the world's cheapest hydrogen?
I think first of all, as we go along, we would, it has to be a lot of localization which has to come in. I was speaking to some of the major global players, and a lot of them understand the need to localize in the markets that they're going to serve. So irrespective of whether you come from the US or you come from Europe, if you're serving the domestic markets, you need to localize your manufacturing supply chains of technology in that space. Also, I think how efficient you will be in terms of what kind of technology that you'll be bringing onto the table. I think that's going to be one of the other key learnings for a lot of industries to be competitive.
Sure.
The tech has to be not only deployable, but it has to be sustainable on the long term. If you come with strong, proven databases, strong pilots, which again, this industry still needs it. I think that's going to be the key factor. And finally, I think the codes and the standardization, because right now, this industry needs some sort of stabilization in terms of the tech which is evolving, and codes and standards, I think, are a great way to bring some parity to a global tech which can be deployed in different markets and then can eventually be scaled up to further be more and more competitive.
Right, I agree with everything you said. After doing so many interviews during this exhibition, talking to so many key players within the industry and having your insight about how especially it can meet global competitiveness, I agree with all of that. I mean, one of the things I think is just efficiency overall, but efficiency to market is not relevant unless you have the policies in place to actually allow those technologies to come into market in the first place, right?
Yeah.
What strategic value do you believe World Hydrogen Expo 2025 provides in strengthening hydrogen cooperation across Asia?
So I think it's a fantastic platform where we've seen the H2 meet evolve into a World Hydrogen Expo.
Right.
So, and this evolution has brought in a lot of players from across the globe, and I think it's really improved the matchmaking which this industry needs. It's helped countries and companies understand what's happening in the world ecosystem of hydrogen. And I think finally, when you talk about Asia, so Asia is a high growth market, it's a high demand market, and it is, I think it's going to be one of the major markets and major drivers for the entire world hydrogen.
Okay.
So a lot of companies want to come here to understand the regional nuances of different areas, different countries, whether it's Southeast Asia, whether you talk about Australia or you talk about China, India, Middle East. I think it's a fantastic ecosystem what World Hydrogen Expo has been able to create. And I think the participation has been overwhelming. We've seen some great pavilions from different countries, and I think the learning is both ways. So everybody who comes here, they teach something and they learn something.
Of course.
And I think that's what, at the end of the day, the business value is in putting together such a fantastic exhibition.
Absolutely, it's not just about, of course, localized markets need to develop their own technology to learn how to work together, but this is a world technology, something that's going to make humanity's life better, the world a greener place. So it's a two-way street, right? We're coming in here and we're learning about what's going on in Korea, and Korea also gets to learn from the international community as they come in here as well, and how we can work together.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time, Varun. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.